Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing the Smashbox Ultraviolet palette. I love that some of you knew I was going to buy this without me even saying it. It's amazing how truly predictable people are. You can predict people's actions, you really can. Now, I ordered this palette the second it released. I was so ridiculously excited for this. And of course you guys know why. It's because I do love purple eyeshadows. Purple is notoriously difficult to work with, and I had faith in Smashbox. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I had a real roller coaster of emotions with this little palette here. And my goal in this video is to share with you my experience as well as to tell you who I think this palette is for, and maybe even more importantly, who I think it's not for. Because I'm gonna predict it now, I think there's gonna be some amount of people who are disappointed in this palette. Ultimately, I'm not. Ultimately, I like it, but it was a learning curve. So let's start with some basics, and then I'll take you guys through my experience with this palette. This is in the Smashbox Cover Shot series, which kind of came to fame from the Ablaze palette. I have to say, I appreciate that we're getting 0.23 ounces in here. That's actually more product than the old Ablaze, which had 0.21, and a good amount more than the Bold Glitter, which had 0.17 ounces. I'm so jealous of you guys that are getting it in the Ipsy bag. I'm so jealous. $25 and you guys are getting more stuff? I can't. I paid $29 for just that. But anyway, this is getting a lot of interest on the interwebs, and for good reason. It is a beautiful looking palette. I've seen a lot of people say things like, this is what Norvina should have been. But hold your horses, because I have some comments on that. We need to continue the basics first though, so I'm going to put my swatches up and then talk to you guys about what you get in this. You get 3 purple matte shades in here, and all of them really swatch horribly. But don't let that deter you, because I've found that some of the best mattes in the world swatch horribly. You get 3 very metallic shades in here, and they're all beautiful, but only one of them is what I would consider to be even close to a purple. And then you get these 2 very, very pretty in the pan purples that I have a lot of feelings on, and I'm definitely going to talk to you a lot about those 2. It's interesting, I feel like if you take the mattes out, because of how horribly they swatch, the palette itself does look better. Now, what I personally found is that as a cover shot palette, I think this is very consistent to the series. If you own the Ablaze or any of the other palettes, then you already know how these work. These are true Smashbox shadows. Smashbox has never, ever made eyeshadows that are really, really intensely pigmented, except for maybe the Bold Glitter. But these are an exchange of pigmentation for buildability and blendability. Just like with the Ablaze palette, that's what you're going to get in the Ultraviolet palette in a variety of purples instead of these naked heat type of colors. So I want to walk you guys through my experience using this. When I first got this in the mail, I was so excited. I immediately swatched it. I immediately noticed that it wasn't swatching very well at all. These colors, these metallics excluded. But swatches don't mean that much, and I know that, so I immediately went to play with it. The first look that I did is the exact same one that I'm wearing right now, except I figured out how to work with it. So I'll move to the side and tell you about what I did to make this look. First off, I used this matte here, which is called Lavender. Hi, fellow kids. This is a beautiful matte to use as a kind of color substitution of a transition shade. This is something that I find myself doing more and more as I work with color. It's just kind of forgoing that, brown taupish color that you use initially and replacing it with a light version of a matte color or bright color. So I loved using it. I thought it was a beautiful color. It's very similar to the one that I own in the MAC Patrick Star palette. Very similar. This one is a little, I guess this one's actually a little bit lighter. I didn't realize that until now. But I love that color for that purpose, and I'm going to get a lot of use in this palette as well, so I'm happy to see that that is a larger color. Initially, the color that I followed with was this bright purple, and it's okay, but personally, I would prefer to have a bigger pan of this kind of more bluish tinted purple. I think that it is very unique. You don't see this particular color that often, and I really like it. Rather than this color being a very intense color, it's a very complementary color, if that makes sense. So I really, really enjoy that color, and the first mistake that I made with this is I didn't even notice that color because it's in the smaller category here. By today, I figured out to build up with that color, to start with this transition shade and then use, it's called Iris Bias. And then I use a tiny brush and use that bright purple Violet Vibes, which is nice, but it's not a very unique color in my opinion. I do feel like I have that color several times over. So building up the matte colors, I was very pleased. I liked how they blend, and that's important for me. I don't have a lot of patience. I feel like my life is always in some kind of a rush. I'm always hurrying to get somewhere. So for me to be able to have shadows blend pretty quickly, and if I have made any mistakes, because it's buildable, I can retract and fix the situation. I was very pleased from the beginning, the very first time I used this, including today, the whole time I've been happy with the way those mattes blend. My initial mistake here is that I really thought this light color called Rainstorm, which I already swatched and said I'm going to talk a lot about, I expected this to be like Stila's Sea Siren, and it's not. This color is really pretty, but it's not Sea Siren. It's not the same color that's in the Desert Dusk by Huda Beauty. It doesn't have the intensity. It's a very soft version of those bright colors. And I think this was kind of my central mistake and kind of my gripe with this palette is that you don't have another bright, intense purple in here. You have that one and that's it. And to give you another example of what I'm getting at, I know this makes me look like a shopping addict, but just to show you, I'm going to grab a color out of here that I really think, if this was in this palette, I'd be able to recommend it to more people. That's BH Cosmetics, that's Smashbox. Basically what I'm saying is if you are going for intensity like this, you could be disappointed in this. And I really was initially. I built that color up so much. I mean, you can see how much I have dug into this shadow for owning this palette for a grand total of 3 days. It's like Smashbox took the word ultraviolet too literally. Yes, it's not visible to the human eye, but I want my eyeshadow to be. What I did differently today is I used that shade over a glitter glue. I don't like it wet, I will tell you that now. Spraying your brush is not for me. Over a glitter glue, it's pretty, and that is what I'm doing. I will show you guys how I got it. I'm happy with this look, but I kind of also hate that I have to sit here and say, well, if you really want that color to really show up to its full potential, you got to put it over a glitter glue, because you're already paying $29. And then to complete today's look, I took this blue and put it in the outer corner. I don't think I recorded this, so let me center myself again. But that's how I finished this look, and then I used the 2 mattes on under my eye today. Now to contrast this to my initial disappointment, one of the major things is that when I finished my eye look the first time, I was underwhelmed. I was saddened that that color that I wanted to base this entire palette off of was not working for me, but then I went and looked in the bathroom mirror. For some reason, sometimes you gotta step away from your makeup area and look at somewhere else. And when I did that, I realized how pretty those mattes had blended out. Those mattes that I was like, well, they're okay, I guess. I looked in the mirror and thought, okay, this actually looks really nice, but I want more from that one color still. Hence why I grabbed the glitter glue today. So ultimately, I kind of have a gripe with this, and that's, you know, you got these beautiful mattes in here, but then you have these metallics that are not purple enough. This one right here, this is a mauve color, and that's fine. I like mauve, but I wanted this color, this palette, to be ultraviolet as advertised. The blue is nice. It's going to give you some really good depth in the outer corner. I have no complaints with that, but I can't stand this red in this palette, specifically in this palette. It's a very good high quality shade, but you work too much with that in purples, you're going to look like you have a black eye. And I tell you that from experience because that is the second look that I did. It is not flattering. I don't understand why it's in this palette. So for today's video, as I already said, I recreated that first look, which I initially didn't like, and now I do like. You can tell I got into it. I broke out my old Tarina Tarantino necklace. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time. But I like it. I really like this look. I'm very pleased with how quick this palette is. That's absolutely one of its strengths. It's tiny and it's powerful for speed. but it's not intensely pigmented aside from those metallics that disappoint me. And you know, this shade right here, I feel like that's become such a common shade at this point. I personally would have rather had a matte white in this palette, but then do I really want to say take more purples from it? No, not really. So to sum everything up about this palette, I would say before you drop the $29 to make sure that you are truly interested in the mattes in here, because I think they are the strength of this palette, as horribly as they swatch. But beyond that, you know, if you are buying this because you need some metallic purples, this is not for you. If, on the other hand, you already have something like Stila's Sea Siren and you want something that's going to complement it really well, then this could be the perfect palette, the way to spend $29 and have every look you could want with that. Basically, if you're buying this and you're expecting it to be Smashbox's version of Norvina, don't buy it. If you're used to Anastasia's shadows, you like the way they blend, you like the amount of pigmentation, don't buy this, it's not for you. If you want to play with more purples and you maybe don't have a lot, this could be for you, but again, I still object to the fact that there's not more bold, in-your-face, shimmery metallics. Why aren't there? Alright guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to click the link has come to town. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comment box below if you are going to be picking this one up, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, YouTube.